What money can you make shopping in the gig economy? To driving to stores, to grabbing carts, to shopping, to checking out, to loading up the car. Is it all worth it? Yes, it is. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'll be discussing if you are able to do only shopping orders while driving and working inside of the gig economy. The apps we will primarily be covering is Instacart, Spark, and Shipt. Also, of course, I am aware that on the food delivery apps such as DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, there are grocery shopping opportunities. And to that, I would just say you could take some of these principles and just apply them to those orders. Also, a lot of this is really market dependent. But I would love to just go over some general tips and some general guidance when it comes to shopping and shopping in the gig economy. So generally speaking, you want to be making more than $25 an hour, $25 or more. So as a general rule of thumb, you want to make, if the order you're going to take is going to take you more than an hour and you're making less than $25, it does not make sense to take it. And of course, over time, you'll get to figure out how long specific orders will take you depending on what store you're going to, traffic, how many items, where you're going, all of that. You'll get used to how long each order will take. And as for the miles, you should be getting at least $1.50 to $3 a mile, I would say, when it comes to shopping orders, at least. With food, you could go a little bit less. With shopping, you want more, because if you're doing $1 a mile with shopping and you're doing the shopping, it's really just not worth it at that point. And as for the item shopped, you want to aim for at least $1 to $2 per item shopped. So if the order has 30 items, you want to be making at least $30 minimum. So now let's get to the specific apps. Let's talk about Instacart. The very high paying offers will go immediately before you could even open the app. But the thing is, they're very transparent about their tips though. It tells you the tip, tells you everything right away. However, the base pay on Instacart is abysmal. It is horrible. Also, the thing about Instacart is there's a large different variety of stores. When it comes to different types, there's makeup stores, clothing stores, retail stores, niche stores, grocery stores, everything you could imagine. And then the other big thing I need to point out about Instacart is there are things like the Costco drops. So at 10 a.m., right when Costco opens, you can go to Costco or very close to it, and you'll have a huge chance to get massive orders because it's called the drop. The big orders drop right around that time. So I would definitely suggest trying to do that one time. See what you can get. Now we get into Spark. Debatably the best one out of them all. But to start, the drops are everything. So at the 30-minute mark of every hour is when the orders start to drop. They drop from the 30-minute, so from 3:30, let's say, until 4 o'clock is when the big orders drop. Every hour, 2:30, 3:30, 4:30. So that is huge. It's some consistency, which in the gig world is not very often that you get consistency. So you can always rely on those good big orders at the 30-minute mark of every hour. Another huge benefit of Spark is that the customers, most of them are using Walmart Plus. And even if they're not, they're ordering on the Walmart app, which means that they're getting the price of the item as if they were walking into the store. Whereas Instacart, the customers are paying an upcharge for every item. So the customers are paying less, and with Walmart Plus, they're not paying any delivery fees. They're just paying the price of the item and the tip. So because of that, they're way more inclined to tip better because they're paying less for the items. Also, the base pay on Spark is double to triple that of Instacart and Shipt. Literally double to triple. I'm not exaggerating. The base pay blows the other apps out of the water. Another thing about Spark is the curbside option. So not only can you do the shopping orders, which are great, which I'll get into, but the curbside option. So it gives you options for 3 different people to tip because you're taking 3 different people's orders. So I get absolutely massive orders. And you don't have to do anything. You just drive up, an employee loads your car, and you take off and you make $30, $40, $50 in an hour or 2 hours, less than 2 hours. Phenomenal. And like I said, you can rely on that every hour. And to just finalize my last claim about Spark is the shopping process is absolutely streamlined. You don't have to do any actual looking for the items. You just go to the aisle number it tells you, the section number, and the module number, and you just pull the item off the shelf. No actual effort to find the item. And then once you're done shopping, you go to self-checkout, you scan a QR code on the screen, then you bag the items. You don't even have to scan them. You don't have to pay for anything. It's by far the fastest out of any app. Spark is phenomenal app. Now finally, let's talk about Shipt. Now I gotta say, Shipt was truly unexpected for me. Because at first I'm like, I don't understand, there's $6, $7, $8, $9 orders. I'm like, what's going on here? Who's gonna shop for all these orders, drive to the store, shop for the customer, communicate with them, drive to the customer, drop it off for $6? No way. And then I found out how the pay structure works. So to put it simply, Shipt is Instacart, but it's owned by Target, and you cannot see the tip until after the delivery. So that's how the pay structure works. And that sounds horrible, I know. And in some ways it can be, but it has way more benefits than you think it does, just by hearing that. So you're essentially gambling on if you think the customer is gonna tip or not. However, here are the reasons why it is good that they don't show the tip until after. The first reason is market saturation. Most people, just like myself at the beginning, are just gonna prefer to do Instacart or Spark where you can see the tip prior to accepting the order, which makes sense. But it makes it to where there's less shoppers, which is good for people that do wanna do Shipt. So there's less saturation. And I mean, every time I go into these Targets, I see the same shoppers every single day. It's pretty cool. Aww. So because there's no tip shown before you accept it, there are things like upsides, such as the delivery window. Instacart is very time sensitive. You accept the order, you have to go to the store. You go to the store, you have to go to the customer. Whereas Shipt, they send their orders out an hour prior. So the window is from 5 to 6 p.m. They will send out the order at 4 p.m. So you get the order at 4 p.m., maybe even earlier, but usually like 4 p.m. And then now you have an order and it's not due until for 2 hours until from then. So if it's a small order, you could do it within and then have an hour and 40 minutes left. So that allows for a lot of flexibility. So you could really plan ahead with this. So like you could be doing, let's say you do a DoorDash order, and then on the way to your DoorDash drop off, you get a Spark order. And that Spark order is really good because it's right next to the DoorDash customer, the Walmart. And then you're sitting at the Walmart, and then you get a Shipt order. And then since you don't have to be at the Shipt order at a specific time, you could do this long Spark order and then still have time to get to the Target to be at the customer on time and still get a good tip. So that's a huge reason why Shipt is so good. Another reason why Shipt is really cool is because when you get a tip, it actually feels like you earned it, because you have to communicate with the customer. They make it very prominent and important in the app to communicate with your customer. And again, you don't know if you're getting tipped. They don't pre-tip. So, I mean, you can, but they usually don't. So if you get a tip, it's because they liked your service and then they rewarded you with a tip afterwards, as opposed to Instacart or Spark where they tip prior and then you take the delivery. Now, lastly, here's the really cool thing about Shipt, and here's what you should aim for. So with the flexibility that it allows and with the time windows, here's the goal that you should be aiming for. It is to be at a very high hourly rate, $26, $28, $30, $32 an hour, before your tips load in, okay? And so also the bonuses that Shipt gives out really helps with that. So on a weekend, I'll get a bonus that'll be like, complete 7 orders, get $70, or I'm sorry, like 8 orders, get $70 or something like that. Or complete 9 or complete 7 orders, get $50, something like that. And so that really helps. So if you can manage, and I'm not saying it's every day or that's very easy, but it is very possible, and I do it very consistently. So if you can manage to make $26, $28, $30 an hour before your Shipt tips load in, that is amazing. And that is the absolute goal. When you do get your tips, hopefully, they are really truly a bonus. And then that way you get to see if your customers that you take tipped at a low risk. And the reason I'm saying at a low risk is because if you're only doing Shipt, then you're heavily depending on the customer's tip. Whereas if you're stacking orders with taking advantage of the delivery window, then you're able to take orders in between and make a lot of money in between and not rely on the customer's tips. So you could take 2 or 3 orders within a delivery window and then take the delivery and then make, $28 an hour. And then plus the tip will make it $32 an hour if it's a good tip. So that's why I say low risk, because you can make $28 an hour, whereas the Shipt shopper only doing Shipt is going to make less than $20 an hour. And then that tip will put them to 28 or 26 or whatever. So that's why it's so incredibly important and so useful that you're able to do that with Shipt. Which is just yet another reason I highly encourage to be on every app. They all need each other to make a good hourly rate and to make this job really worth it. I never say, oh, Instacart is so great, they pay so well. If I make a lot of money from an Instacart order, it's because the customer was a very generous customer and tipped really well, not because the company paid well. Through having several apps, though, you have several options. Thus, you can take only the best orders, i.e. the highest paying and the highest tipping orders from every app. So you get to see the best side and only the best side of every app. Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. And until next time,